The wind rolled across the plains like a living thing, bending the tall grass and carrying with it the smell of dust, leather, and destiny. As Caleb Reed stood frozen outside the chapel, had clenched in his hands, wondering how a man so quiet could be dragged by fate into a moment so loud, because inside waited the woman everyone whispered about, the giant bride with shoulders broad as a barn door and eyes said to hold storms, a woman no man dared approach twice. And yet here he was, the shy cowboy with trembling fingers and a heart bruised by loneliness, stepping across the threshold, where the candles flickered and the floor creaked under her weight when she turned. And when she did, the room seemed to shrink, not because she was too large, but because her presence demanded space, her calm strength pressing against him like the heat of a fire you don't touch yet feel on your skin. And she studied him slowly, not with hunger, not with mockery, but with a patience that disarmed him more than any smile ever had. And when she spoke, her voice was low, steady, almost kind, saying his name like it mattered, like it had weight. And Caleb realized then that fear had followed him his whole life, fear of being seen, fear of failing, fear of wanting. But in her gaze there was no judgment, only certainty, the kind that says the world is harsh, but you will not face it alone. And as the vows passed like a distant river and the doors opened to the evening light, they stood side by side, an unlikely pair framed against the dying sun. And later, when the guests faded into the dark and silence, returned to the ranch house perched on the edge of nowhere, Caleb found himself standing unsure in the doorway, unsure of where to place his hands, his words, his heart, until she stepped closer, her shadow falling over him not as a threat but as shelter. And she leaned down just enough that he could hear her breath mix with his own and whispered, not as a promise of the body but of the soul, touch me, and you'll forget every other woman in the West. And what she meant was not flesh or fire, but safety, belonging, the kind of closeness that rewrites a man's understanding of strength. And when she placed his trembling hand against her steady one, the world did not explode, the walls did not fall, but something quieter and deeper happened. Something lasting, because in that moment, Caleb understood that love was not about conquering or being conquered, but about standing firm when someone finally chooses you completely. And the night stretched on with shared stories, hesitant laughter, and the slow building of trust, two souls learning each other's rhythms like a trail mapped by starlight. And by dawn the ranch no longer felt empty, the land no longer felt cruel, because the shy cowboy had found courage not in dominance, but in devotion. And the giant bride had found tenderness not in shrinking herself, but in being fully seen. And their story, born of whispers and doubt, became legend not for scandal but for endurance, a reminder that the strongest bonds in the Wild West were forged not by force, but by faith, patience, and the bravery to reach out when fear tells you to pull away. And if this story stirred something in you, if you believe the greatest legends are built on unlikely love and quiet strength, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful Wild West stories where hearts are tested, destinies collide, and love rides harder than any outlaw.